The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Harrington. I'm in the business development group here at Top Builder. Welcome to the 20th episode of our webinar series and today's topic, Financial Performance Dashboards for Contractors. If you have attended any of our webinars in the past, it's the same format. The webinar is being recorded and we will send the recording and slides out tomorrow. And though all attendees are on mute, we encourage you to put your questions in the questions or chat, and we will address them before we end our session today. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dave Knowles, founder and chief product officer for Top Builder and ContractorBI. Dave?
Thanks, Rob. Hey, thanks everybody for joining. We got a really good audience today, which makes sense because this is a really powerful and interesting topic. Like Rob said, we're going to follow the typical agenda we do for all of our webinars. We're going to give you a little bit of an update on our webinar series. We've got an announcement to make there. We're going to give you a little bit of background on the topic itself. We're going to do a poll question, and I have 2 exclamation points next to this one because this is a very important poll question. I hope everybody takes it seriously. It does influence how we can support you. So hopefully you'll all be able to participate in that poll question. Then we'll dive into the topic itself, financial construction dashboards. We're going to do a demo, and we're going to edit one real quickly live. We like to show you how easy it is to change some of the parameters and some of the dimensions in these dashboards, and we're going to do it live today. And then we'll wrap up with a Q&A. At the end of the webinar, there's going to be a survey. We'd love to hear from you on what metrics or dashboards you'd like to see included in ContractorBI. As you know or have learned from previous webinars, we have a 50 out-of-the-box dashboards already, and we can continue to add to those or change those as needed. And so we'd love to hear from you on that. One of the things we're going to do a little bit differently in this webinar is down below, we send out recordings typically on Friday after the Thursday webinar. We are going to do that again this week or this month, but I'm going to go ahead and email everybody individually. It's a pretty big list of people, but it's a bank holiday on Friday and on Monday, so I want to make sure we get this out to you quicker. So I'll send you a link in just a personal email coming from me, and I'll attach the PowerPoint. And then on Tuesday of next week, we'll go ahead and send it out using our own email marketing program, and I'll do a formal distribution of that. Okay, so again, we do these webinars the 3rd Thursday of every month at the same time like we're doing now. In May, we're going to co-host a webinar with Sage. That's the user group, used to be Timberline user group. It's on a similar topic, but it's going to be focused on using the Sage data, which candidly is a lot of the data we're going to use today anyways. That's in May. I don't have a date for that, but you'll get an announcement. And then summer, and the reason why I didn't put a month on the summer is because summer's a little weird for construction. That people are building stuff, which they should, and taking vacation time off with their family. So we'll have a couple this summer. Not exactly sure if it'll be 3, every month, but we'll definitely have 1 or 2, probably 2 this summer. One is going to focus on artificial intelligence. Top Builder is really digging into this and how we can really help contractors with some predictive analytics. And then we're also going to do one with a joint partner that we actually have here attending today. It's Zentech Consulting. Zentech Consulting is a new reseller of ours. They're reselling Top Builder and ContractorBI. Zentech has been around for a while. They're an authorized Procore consultant, or I guess authorized or certified Procore consultant. And they've been helping contractors with their data and analytics for a very long time, and they're really good at it. And so we're gonna get together and do a webinar with Zentech. Okay. Again, you'll get the recording after this, and you can also go to our website and see all the webinar recordings and register for future webinars there. Okay, so a little bit on the topic background here. So the last couple webinars we did, we Gave you a little bit of background on Contractor BI, and then we also covered the core dashboards. They're a bit long topics, and it was really leading up to this one, which is probably the most impactful webinar we have ever done. And because it's all about money, right? And it's all about making money. And I'm just going to summarize real quickly why this is so important. I have a slide on this I'm going to share with you in a second, but the statistics across the industry, and we're going to have a poll question on this, indicates that many projects are running over budget. Most of them are running over budget, and by a significant amount. There's a lot more behind all those numbers, which I'll share with you in a second. And we do confirm those with our customers and with our prospects. But the poll question is going to be about this, and I hope you answer it candidly because we want to get your feedback on this as well, on these statistics. Okay, we'll do that in a second. Now, the key is, and if you've been to other webinars and our partner webinars and Procore or estimating platform webinars or whatever, they'll all tell you, the data is everywhere. It's in your job cost accounting system, project management system, you name it, but it's not being used, and it's not being used properly. And with the pain points on the second bullet there, and not having the data available or used properly is a really important topic for us and for the industry. And that's what we're talking about today. And as always, you can always come back to us if you want more information. We can't cover every single detail in 30 minutes, but we're going to try. I'm going to talk fast. Okay, so in this webinar, we're going to focus on addressing these issues with tools to help you prepare future bids, to use historical data, job cost accounting data, cost all the way down to the cost code level, and we're gonna help you use that information to prepare future bids, similar job types, similar customers, job sizes, all kinds of different parameters. Also, we want to help you use real-time job cost data all the way down to the cost code or the phase code level to try to resolve issues on the job before the job is complete, try to save some money, salvage some of these overruns, and react before it's too late. I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to show you how to find hidden revenue opportunities or gaps. A lot of what we're going to talk about today, I don't want to get into your business too much here, but I'll tell some stories. When you start looking at this data, a lot of our customers, a lot of our contractors have that aha moment. They're like, okay, we have to change. We have to start looking at bid history before we prepare future bids. Maybe our compensation structure needs to change. We need to have review processes in place. We want to help you with that, and that's why we're here. And then the next part is the financial planning, cash, commitments, revenue. We're going to talk to you about that today. All right, so the statistics, and I'm not going to read every one of these. I have where these came from, and a lot of them did come from our customers. In summary, projects are running over schedule or over budget. And we talk to our customers, they say, yeah, that's pretty much the case. 90% of them do run over budget, but that doesn't mean we lose money. Okay, great. But you can make more money if we pay attention and we use the right tools to try to avoid that in the future. Again, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but also the time it takes to prepare data and reports is significant. I think 13% of the time spent is low. That's what our customers are telling us, but we're going with this for now. And then contractors can avoid problems if they have the right tools while the job is in place. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the poll question really quickly. And so what we're going to do is we're going to ask you if you agree on those metrics. And I hope you guys jump in and go ahead and do this. Let me select the poll and launch it. Now this is multiple choice. You can select as many of these things as you want. Okay. And I'm going to give it some time. I can tell how many people have actually filled this out. and I'm going to screenshot it for everyone. And I'm going to wait for you guys to get in here and please vote. We don't have many people voting now, but please get in here. I'd love to get your opinion on this. Rob, are you able to see the poll okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. We're getting them in now. Maybe it's just slow to compile the results. All right. Ooh. Okay. So I love it. With almost 70% of, just over 70% of the folks that voted, I'll just go ahead and read it. 60% of you agree that 9 out of 10 construction projects run over budget. 60% agree that they exceed the budget by 16%. I can't read this. 67% agree that 13% of the working hours are used to gather data and prepare reports. And 70% agree that you can fix these problems while the job is going on with the right tools. And using data and predictive analytics will show an 8% increase. So most people agree with all these statistics, which is wonderful. So I'll go ahead and close the poll, and then we'll move on to the presentation. Okay. So going back to the data and the issues that the team faces. Sorry, I have a duplicate on one of these in here. I changed it on one slide, but not the other. Fixing these problems. So how can these financial dashboards help? Well, first of all, and I'm going to be quick with this. We're going to start showing you this here in a second. But using historical job performance to identify costs and schedule overruns when bidding new jobs or reviewing bidding strategies will really help. And what we'll do here is we'll look at across the board the job history. We'll look at what we call the variances. The variances meaning your overruns, the budget minus the estimate at complete. If that's a negative number, you're going to go over. And you can break this down by labor, materials, equipment, of course, all that. But then you can break it down all the way down the cost code level. And then you can look at this by, estimator. Who's actually estimating these projects? Who's running these projects? Who's the project managers? You can look at market segments, geographies, customers, and really zoom in and figure out where you've made mistakes in the past. And then that will influence future behavior when you're bidding new projects, or we even see policy changes with our customers, a review process, an audit process. I'm going to say this a couple times today, but they change their commission structures because people are just trying to get the job. They get their commission, but then the job loses money. I'm not saying anybody here is doing that, but we've seen it. And then we'll dive into all these different metrics when we actually show it to you here. Now, the other major piece is finding and fixing problems during the course of construction. And I've got the actual names, by the way, of the dashboards in here. So if you're a ContractorBI user, you can go right into these things and look at them for yourself using your own data. But what we want to do is we want to look at a summary of what is going on across your active jobs, and then drill down maybe into a particular job and say, hey, look, we're overrunning on labor. We can't let that happen. We got to get out there. I hate to say it this way, but crack the whip, or we have to do something while the job is in place before we go way over budget. And you can make a difference doing that if you get to it early enough. I was actually on a crew. I'm a mechanical engineer. I worked mechanical engineering in construction, and I was a roofer. And I certainly remember when we started to run over budget, I didn't know what the budget was necessarily, but we'd run past schedule, and people would be out there helping out, cracking the foreman would show up, and getting people working. I don't know if that's how you would fix the problem here, but certainly there's opportunities to fix the problem if you know they're there. Okay, now this is huge. Find missed revenue opportunities. We got a lot of inspiration from this one from NECA, National Electrical Contractors Association. They helped us identify gaps in where all of their members were bidding jobs. And what was happening is they were just bidding on what they're comfortable with. They were avoiding certain job types, public or private, union, non-union, certain job types, certain geographies, and they were missing out. And these revenue opportunities are obvious on these dashboards. And then the last one here is cash flow and outstanding commitments and revenue projections. I mean, that's pretty mechanical there to go look out into the future at your receivables. Of course, this comes from your job cost accounting platform. What are the outstanding receivables? When are they due? When can we expect the cash? And also commitments to materials, equipment, and subcontract labor, and also revenue projections. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into all of that right now. And by the way, before I do that, let's be clear. It all begins with the data. And if you don't have the data, none of this works. Okay. But Top Builder and our partners, consulting partners and integration partners are here to make sure you get the data you need to build these reports. And I'll just leave it at that. I think you guys know that already. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into some of these analytics and dashboards. First one's going to be performance analytics, which analyzes mainly variances. And we refer to a variance, in case you don't know what that is, I'm sure you do, but it's the original budget or the revised budget minus the calculated budget at completion or estimate at completion. And so a negative variance is bad, obviously. And there's a lot more metrics on this, cost performance indicators, there's tons of metrics around it. But we start with the variances because that's where we spot problems immediately. And so let me go ahead and jump into that. I've got ContractorBI open already with that dashboard open. This is live, and this is live data. This is real data, and hopefully, it'll make sense to you. We have to be careful with the data because we don't want to share any of our customer data, so we protect the innocent and modify the data, and sometimes the numbers get a little wonky, but we want to make sure we use real data and live data when we do these things, okay? So what we're looking at is the job cost performance analysis. And what we're doing right now is we're looking at all these jobs and we're looking at the red. And the red is telling us where the variances are, where you're going to go, in other words. And so we're looking at two numbers, and we're looking at the totals, materials, equipment, subcontract, and other. Some people have an additional type in there. Sometimes they put administrative or other things in there. We're wrapping all that into other in this demo. And you can see right away we've got a lot of variances here. And you look at the totals first, and then you can go look over, and you can see looks like subcontract is our problem moving forward. Okay, so what do you do with that information, right? Well, first of all, you want to go find out why that is happening and try to make sure that doesn't happen again on future bids. And so what I would do here is I would say, okay, well, it looks like we've got some major overages for the estimator Brooke Elizabeth. We could look at specific job types. We could look at geographies, lots of different things and finding the patterns. But I'm seeing a pattern here with Brooke. And so what I will do is I'm going to go ahead and just focus on Brooke as the estimator here. And you'll see all the analytics will change because I'm now only focused on Brooke. I could focus on a specific job type. I could focus on a specific state. Texas or Oklahoma's looking pretty nasty down there in the lower right. But right now I'm focusing on the estimator. Okay. And now that I can just focus on Brooke, I can see that she's bidding all the different market segments, but government in particular pretty bad. And it looks like, again, she's really got some challenges in the in the subcontractor category. And so we've got a lot of overages there. So in the future, we'll look at that. You know, are we underestimating how much subcontract labor we need, or are the prices different than what we are bidding for the project? I don't know, but you got to go look at it, and then you can make changes. Okay. In addition to, you know, changes in the future bids or bid policies, talking to our customers, you know, what they will do is they'll see these patterns and say, okay, we got to have a review process before these things get submitted. Or we need, like I said, we need to change our commission structure. Our customers will send these things out the door and nobody's reviewing them, and whoops, we lost money. You know, no more of that. So they've got new policies in place to prevent that from happening in the future. Okay, now I'm going to move on. And by the way, we're going to come back to this dashboard and we're going to change one of the metrics from market segment to job type, because you may only work in one industry or market segment, but different job types. And so this may not apply to you. And so we're going to change it and show you how you can apply that to a company that does different job types for one market. I think you'll like that. All right, so let's go back to the presentation. I think we nailed that one. Okay, so we're going into individual job performance. Now, what this does, and there's screenshots here on the right. This is taking everything down to the cost code level or the phase code level, if you use that term. Same thing. And then we looked at each cost type, you know, labor, materials, equipment, subcontract, other, and we're looking at all the metrics around each one of those. What was your original budget? What is your actual spend? What is your estimate at completion? Are we going to go over or not? What are our variances? And then if you find them, we hope you take action immediately on those jobs. You can also use this data for future bidding, but right now we'll focus on the jobs that are currently active. Okay, so the way this one works is you select the job, you can apply overhead or burden to the labor. That's, you know, the general and administrative costs or burdens to your internal staff, your internal crews. And so you get a better picture of the cost when you're looking at that. But when we're pulling this up, you can see the cost category here, starting with general requirements, all the way down to all the different cost categories, all the way down to the completion of the construction is laid out in terms of the total, labor, materials, other. And then you can see where you're having problems. Okay. And we can look right away that under the labor category, we're going to go significantly over in the supervision part. That's your project manager team. Maybe there's problems on the job and they're spending extra time doing it. I don't know. Time tracking does come into this. We integrate with time tracking, which goes into job cost accounting, and we pick that up as well. But this is where you might find these problems on the job and say, okay, we need to go fix this stuff. We're going to run over if we don't get something in place to address this. So I think everybody can understand this. It's a lot of detail. You can export it to Excel. And by the way, the R's in here means that the original budget was revised. So you have an original budget and you have a current budget on these cost codes. Okay. So we hope this really helps reduce some of your cost overruns. All right, next one. Going down here to revenue insights. This is a fun one. So what this is looking for is gaps. And you're looking for gaps in your revenue and your profits, your bidding activity. This again came from Nika. Thanks, Nika. But if you're not bidding the jobs, how are you going to get the jobs, right? So that's what we're going to look at here. And real quickly, I'll just go into that dashboard And by the way, this is all real time. It's pulling real-time data from the ContractorBI data warehouse, real time, just so you know. All right. So it's kind of fun to look at this map, the geographies on where the activities are taking place, where you're getting the revenue and where you're not getting the revenue. And just for the record, we're looking at the entire United States here, but this can be broken down by region. This can be broken down by zip, all the way down to the zip code level. So if you don't work across the United States, and not everybody does, and you only work in the Northeast, you can actually break this down by zip code or region and identify exactly where things are happening. And then if you'll see this little card here, you could look at the revenue, and then you can look at sales. Okay, we don't got a lot of sales. We got, there in some areas. And you could look at the bidding activity. Okay, we're looking at sales and we're looking at revenue, but how many dollars and how many bids are going out across these geographies? Really cool stuff. Okay, now I'm going to go down here to the lower left, and what I'm doing is I'm looking at revenue and sales by job type. You can quickly see the bars are the revenue and the line is the sales. You can quickly see that the commercial side of the business is not getting a lot of business. Okay. And so that may be an area of focus for your business development team, your marketing team. It's hard for me to say how you would solve those problems. Definitely people are out there making phone calls. They have relationships with people that do these job types. But then, if you don't know you're missing out, sometimes you don't know you're missing out. And you gotta go chase it, and then this will kind of put it out there for you. In the upper right here, this is kind of a fun heat map, and what the heat map is showing is market segments, and we're looking at revenue on the x-axis to the right, and conversion rates on the y-axis, and then the circles, the size of the circle is how much profit you're making. So if you're looking at looks like this is the entertainment market segment industry, that's making the most profit, but with fewer revenue. So your profit margin is obviously very high for entertainment. That may be a good area to focus on. And then you can see down here, this one's healthcare. Healthcare, you're getting a lot of jobs, converting a lot of jobs, but your profits are small. You go all the way over here to the right, and you're looking at retail. Retail's over over $500 million here. And then conversion rates are healthy in all cases, but your profits are low. So I don't know, maybe that's not an area of focus moving forward. Maybe we should focus on entertainment. I don't know, but that's up to you guys when you look at the data. Now we're looking at down here in these pie charts, we're looking at estimators and how their revenue is breaking out. Ashley is doing really, really well, and Dave is not doing very well, and maybe that's an area of concern or something that needs to be addressed. Maybe he needs some training, maybe some coaching, maybe some better tools like we have here with ContractorBI to help close more deals. Okay. And then this is a fun one because Nika was all over this, and we have a lot of electrical contractors. Nika and, of course, Top Builder and ContractorBI really wants to show what the split is between public and private jobs and union versus non-union. That's primarily, again, our electrical contractors. But we showed this to Nika, and the members of Nika were telling them they were getting all kinds of private work and non-union work, but when we looked at the data, that was not the case. But it was easier to go get, and so they were switching and trying to focus more on the non-union work because they were missing out on opportunities, which is the whole point of this dashboard. Okay, the last one is easy. So this is cash flow and outstanding commitments. We're going to bump in here. Now, this is using your receivables. And it's pulling in, okay, a summary for the rest of the year. We're looking at outstanding invoices of $9 million and commitments that we've made to existing projects for equipment, materials, and subcontract. That looks to be just under $2 million, let's say, in outstanding commitments. Okay, great. But when's that cash coming in, and when are those commitments having to be made? When are we gonna have to write those checks? And so you see the cash flow here coming in May, June, July, August. You can go as far out as you want. And these are using the open balances on your invoices. So the outstanding balances on your invoices. There also, we are looking at the customer payment history to decide where, or when, I should say, these things are going to get paid. Okay. So you can see how easily I can make changes to a typo I just found. Simple stuff. All right. But sometimes customers, even though the invoice is due in July, they may not pay until August, and we consider that when we put these projections together. It's more realistic, okay? And then same with the commitments down below. We're looking at commitments for your equipment, materials, and subcontract work, and when are they due? Makes sense, I think. All right, there's also a revenue detail. We showed this in previous webinars. I'll just touch on it really quickly. This brings in all the revenue, and what we're looking at here is across the board. Green items are active jobs. Yellow items are the ones you're bidding on. That way you can see what your revenue picture really looks like, and you can say, well, I really only want to look at active ones right now. Okay, great. I only want to look at what we're bidding at. Okay, how are we filling in some of the blanks there in our revenue stream? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, all right. I did really good. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here real quickly. I'm going to edit a dashboard. We're going to have some fun with this, and then we're going to turn it over to Q&A. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into ContractorBI, and I'm going to look at that financial analysis dashboard. Now, this is pulling a tremendous amount of data, so bear with me. This is live, and it's real-time data. So bear with me. It'll take just a second. You can get your questions ready. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that scenario where I have a customer and they only work in one industry, let's say, or maybe they work in a lot of industries, but they don't really care. And what they do care about is they care about the different types of jobs that they're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this over to job type really quickly, and I'm going to change the label. Okay. I'm going to save it. Hold on. You know what I'm going to do? I want to show you guys when you save it, you can target this dashboard to a particular role. It's still loading, so give me a second. A particular role, particular division, particular user, and you can make it restricted. All right. So that's what we can do here. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And what we see here is all of the variances broken down by job type now, not by industry. So there you go. Looks like everything's in new construction. So, okay. Hopefully that made sense to everybody here. And I'm going to go ahead and change this back. And Rob, do we have any questions?
I'm not able to see the questions that are coming in, Dave.
Let me get in there and see if I can't find them. Bounce over. questions? I see none. I guess we're looking at the same thing. Well, either I did a really good job or I confused everybody. So one of the two. But okay, after we close the webinar and we're right on time, we try to keep it to an hour and 35 minutes, which is perfect. You're going to get a survey and you can give us some input on this. You know, what dashboards would you like to see moving forward? We're happy to build those for you in the out-of-the-box platform. And then if you sign up for your existing ContractorBI customer, you have the ability to modify them and save them as your own and make them exactly with, you know, what you want in terms of a dashboard. So that's super, super cool. Okay, well, I'll wrap it up. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.